Pisces.
Hello Pisces, this is your astrological forecast for June 2016. And this month, focus here in your life is going to be about family, your home, your foundation, who you are on the inside. It is parents and whatnot. The sun, Venus, and the new moon is in this area, illuminating it. And since we have the new moon here, this is where there's going to be a sense of new beginnings, one way or another this month. The new moon always comes to your fourth house once every year, so it's going to be a full year to next time. So this is the time that we put down our intentions. This will be June 4th when the new moon is 14 degrees in Gemini. So any other planets that you have in your chart at 14 degrees will be triggered by this new moon. And our intention should be, I want to spend more time at home, make my home more beautiful. Think about Venus and the sun being there, right? So you might just be scattering around the house, beautifying it, giving it a little bit more tender, loving care. And more interaction, perhaps too, with family or family members. Maybe you're going to have a reunion this month. You will find that to be very beautiful and engaging. Now, both the sun and Venus, this new moon as well, being in the sign of Gemini allows us, even though you're a Pisces, but it allows all of us to embed the qualities of Gemini. And Gemini has the gift of gab, right? They love to communicate. They're very sociable. They're also very curious-minded people that loves knowledge. So you might just find that you're researching a little bit more knowledge that has to do with perhaps real estate, property, and so forth this month. But it could just be the mingling here too, when you're having your reunion as well, that you're socializing there. We still are dealing with a lot of retrogrades as of, if you're listening to this forecast in May, well, on the May side, it is 5 out of 8 that are going retrograde, including Mercury and Jupiter, which will be moving direct here in June. And this reading is for June. But for those of you listening earlier, both Mercury and then Jupiter are still retrograde. The good news is that Mercury will go direct on May 22nd. Jupiter will go direct on May 9th or 10th, depending on where you live. And so at least those two forces will be with us on the direct as we start off here now in June. But we still have 4 more retrogrades. We got Mars retrograde till June 29th. We have Neptune retrograde from June 14th to that of November 20th. We have Saturn retrograding to August 12th and Pluto retrograding to September 26th. So that is still going to make things feel like they're moving slowly. And this month here, we do have a little bit of a trying month. I got to be honest here, Pisces. We have a lot of transits that are either square or in opposition. This really means that we're going to be up against a few situations here that we have to work through. Some of them can be quite karmic due to Saturn's retrograde and the way that it is going to be retrograding up to this Neptune, which seems is going to cause us a little bit of discomfort. More on that when I go through the calendar, but let's talk about now Mars. First, Mars being retrograde in Scorpio. Mars used to be the ancient ruler of Scorpio, so it kind of feels comfortable here in this energy, but it's retrograding. And it's in the 9th house, meaning that there could be a news, interaction, communication with somebody at distance, out of town, out of country even, as the 9th house has to do with foreign people and places and so forth. And so you might find that if there is something that hasn't really been resolved, well, that can come back around. Retrogrades always bring things back around, just so you can go and connect the dots. And we have Jupiter, as I said, going direct. Saturn, the next planet out, retrograde to August 12th. Saturn for you is in your 10th house for career. So if you've been feeling that it's been slowing down just a little bit in the career field, maybe it's just giving you a little break, Pisces, because we know you've been working long and hard hours here with Saturn ever since it moved into Sagittarius. And so if it's slow now, just embrace it. Just see it as a little extra time off. In the meanwhile, though, in the downtime, it is allowing you to kind of look back over, were there projects that you started at some point that you just took to a certain level and then let go of? In that case, these projects might resurface now, so you can start tweaking them, getting all your ducks in a row, so that by the time of mid-August, especially I'd say from September onwards, you'll come to see that your career is going to pick up and have wings, okay? So anything that you can get straightened out now or concluded, finished or patched up and be good to go, the better off you are this autumn. Then we have Neptune retrograde. Neptune for you is transiting your first house. That has to do with you, your personality, and it being retrograde, it's kind of like a weak influence because it's one of the outer planets, and we might not just always see them in our day-to-day life like that, but Neptune rules creativity, spirituality, and your hopes and dreams, your visions, and you are coming out with all of that in your first house. But now that it's retrograde, it's kind of sleeping, it's moving backwards, trying to get you in touch, not just with your intuition and spirituality that might now, be coming back full force, which is always a beautiful thing, but there could be some creative projects again that could come to surface, and that's just a great thing for you. Besides, Neptune is your ruler, so you're good to go there. But then Pluto, also retrograding to September 26th in your area of groups and organizations, friendships, and so forth, but it's also your hopes and dreams. And Pluto is trying to transform this whole area, and Pluto has moved more than halfway through this house. So what you've been doing these last years, you're already seeing the consequence of what you have been growing within these groups or audiences. But now that it's taking a break, being retrograde, it's giving you a break, so you don't have to be full on right now. And I think that is really good, just so that you can recharge your batteries. But listen though to maybe feedback from friends, listen to feedback from groups, organizations, whatnot, because some of this is actually helping you to align yourself with where it is you want to go from autumn onwards, because then Saturn will be direct, you will have Pluto now direct there from September, and then of course Neptune will get back on board there from November as well. So I'm feeling it's more like a time for you to realign with your inner spiritual true self. But like I said, it's a tricky month this month. We're going to start off here on the 1st with the Sun and Venus. They are traveling together, which is really nice. They love each other's company because the one feeds the other. It has to do with charisma and love and so forth, things that we desire, hold close to heart, but lo and behold, it's going to be squaring up on Neptune on the 1st. Now, that could mean that you might be hearing something that sounds really good, which really triggers the Sun and the Venus. However, if it's one of those things that sound too good to be true, maybe it is too good to be true. It will be put to the test on the 3rd, when the same two, Venus and the Sun, will come up in an opposition to Saturn. Now, Saturn is you, your inner authority. It's what grounds us. It's also externalized into whoever else you see as an external authority. That could be supervisor, boss, it could be parents, it could be the government, right? But in that, you will actually, it's like I hear that you might say something or you might hear something, and then it comes out that it wasn't true, or it wasn't what we heard. Or this is why we really need to be careful with how we express ourselves and how we communicate, so it doesn't come across in that Neptunian, muddled way, which can cause a lot of confusion, misconceptions, and so forth. But Saturn will try to balance this back out on the 3rd. However, though, it seems to linger. This is probably a karmic situation since Saturn is so involved in this. Because on the 9th, Mercury, which is your linear thought, is heading down this way, Mars in that direction, and they're not aligned. So there's frustration here in communication. People might not just be antsy, they could be a little short-tempered. Mercury for you at this time will be in your 3rd house in the area of communication. Mars will be in the 9th house of justice and truth. So it wants to know why certain things took on the shape and form as it did. So you can see friction. You can see maybe even some arguments, but do know that this is going to pass quickly. Mercury is direct, so it will pass within a few days. However, though, as it passes away from Mars, it's going to pick up some transits here with both Saturn and Neptune. I'll get to that in just a moment, but stay tuned. But first, we're going to have a couple of days with at least some good news, like a little island in the ocean with a day or two that feels joyful. This is the Sun and Venus. Those two, again, receiving some beautiful vibrations from Uranus, which is always the planet of the unexpected. Total surprise, the wow factor, and Uranus for you is in your 2nd house for money and income. And the Sun and Venus has to do with your foundation, home, family, securities there. So there's either money coming to the home, or it could be coming from a family member, for example. If you're buying or selling real estate, which is the 4th house also, then in that case, that could be good news. Since Venus is direct, you should be good to go on that note, though. I just wanted to mention that. But then here we go again with this old saga from top of the month. It still seems to be bugging, right? Because now on the 17th, Saturn, which is your inner sense of authority or the externalized authority, is now questioning Neptune, where either the deception, the lie, the miscommunication, misperception, whatever it was, and on the 20th, Mercury, which is communication, is going to question this and say why. So you're going to have to come up with facts, or somebody that you're going after, they're going to have to come up with some facts. And it's not really wanting to let go before they get it right. So in opposition with Mercury and Saturn, this is you feeling really powerfully strong, really wanting to get to the nitty-gritty. And then that Mercury is squaring off on Neptune. This is the 20th also. So we see it's the same situation that took place and blew up there on the 1st, on the 3rd. This could also, by all means, be a political situation or global situation. Not just for you and I personally and all of us, because we're all going to have these aspects, but it could pretty much draw, a situation on the global scene of things coming up where things need to be negotiated, confronted, worked out, and at least the month is going to end on a much better note. And as an astrologer, I always love to bring good news, right? But we have to call it and say it how we see it. On the 20th, though, we do have the full moon Pisces, and it is going to be 29 degrees in Sagittarius, which is your career house. And since it's on the last degree there, just within a couple of hours of that full moon, it is going to go from your career house over into the 11th house, which has to do with your hopes and dreams. It has to do with friendships, circle of friends, socializing, groups and organizations. So there's something here that is going to be fully illuminated and nice. So pay attention to that too, on a good note there on the 20th, when everything else seems to be like that. Then on the 26th, we have Jupiter, which is your ancient ruler. It is now moving forward, picking up speed, right? And think about Jupiter, which is always wanting to expand anything that it touches. And for you, that's Jupiter's in the 7th house for love and relationship. If you feel it's been slow on that level since that of January, that was the retrograde, but now it's coming back in. So it's going to open up the ability to really relate closely and deeply with your partner romantically, or anybody that you work with closely one-on-one. Now, the golden trine, the golden beam that it's getting here from Pluto's from the 11th house, hopes and dreams. So you could be working with a group, it could be with your significant other, it could be a broker, an agent. Great time to actually promote something, or also share a new product, could be, whatever it is, but there's money that could come from this. I'm not saying necessarily that you'll be receiving money on this day, but you could, but it could also be a day where you could present something that can indicate money down the road, like the birthing of a concept. And this is good because, yes, we know Venus rules money. That's nickels and dimes, or just money in general. But Jupiter rules money, and think about the size of Jupiter, right? So that's like big money. And then Pluto, though a very tiny planet, it rules mega money. If that hits in, that's like a jackpot, right? So whatever is being presented either to you, a new project, or you're presented to somebody else, this is a great day to do so. Mars is now not fully direct. It's only 3 days away from moving direct. So, you know, you might want to hold it back just a few days before that presentation goes out. And Jupiter and Pluto, they will still be close enough in orb to still be functional. So I would wait at least to July 1st. But on the 27th, Venus, love and money, is here now with a golden beam to Neptune, which is the higher aspect of Venus. And it's also your ruler. Now, when these come together, it's fine food and fine wine. It's really time to be romantic. Even though Neptune is retrograde, it could still be a beautiful blend between these two planets. Neptune here in your first house, Venus now having moved into your fifth house. It's a good call for romance, or maybe meeting somebody new as well, Pisces. Now, if you listen to your Taroscope, the reading here for June will give you an additional extra insights, what the cards can tell you, what you can come to expect, people you might come to meet, and other situations as well. So it's really nice to listen to both the astrological reading and the tarot reading. So they're both up there online, and I will see you in July. So have a good month.